put him on his back. Thurston, right foot kick, down the ground, into the in goal almost. Hodgson cuts it off. Hodgson taken by Norton. He took him late. Marshall skips away. Marshall's still going. Marshall's got Richards coming up outside. Now inside. Richards pursued. He pushes Johnson away.
Good evening, everybody. It is Tuesday, the 3rd of February. It's tricky. 2026. You're back for another episode of the Tiger Town podcast with your hosts, Zach and Toby. Zach at this end, Toby at the other. Brought to you, as always, by Best on Ground Digital. Best on Ground Digital, the digital marketing agency. They look after the little guy. They will not steer you wrong. bestonggrounddigital.com. And Toby, the other end there, mate. The last weekend until October without football has been, and it's gone. And one of the, one of the worst parts about this year is the fact that Married at First fucking Sight is back on the television, which is heinous. And I've got to endure that to get to footy season. But we're at the last post, mate. What?
Why would you have to endure that? You can turn the TV off.
No, I can't. You're familiar with the shed and other occupants of the shed, and they take precedence at times. So I'm a good host.
It's your fault.
Anyway, carrying on.
I just would leave, but that's okay.
Yeah, I'm aware of you, mate.
Yeah, I do me.
You like Nancy on that show, don't you?
Couldn't tell you who that is. Is it a dude or is it a chick?
It's 2026. We don't know. Moving on. So we're getting close, mate. We've got trials coming up in a few weeks.
Well, we technically have trials coming up this weekend. It's just not us.
Thank you for that. I'm glad you stepped in and clarified that.
Had to.
Just really pumping up the tyres of the show early in the season.
Oh, mate, it's not a Tiger Town podcast if you and I aren't just having a go at each other.
And we've got 2 weeks pent up because we didn't do one last week, which means a couple in the chamber.
Neither of us had the inkling. We didn't really have the juices flowing, so to speak, in terms of feeling amped about the season. It just didn't feel like it was around the corner. But I messaged you today, and I'm like, oh, let's do one. I've got a bit of it flowing now. I'm like, I don't know what it is. Like, we're still... it's only the first trial and we're still a week away. But, I don't know. Just starting to feel like footy season's coming.
Smell it in the air.
Mm-hmm.
Smell it on the breeze.
It doesn't generally smell, and, it doesn't smell like shit this time. How good?
Well, not at least here. I don't know. I can't speak for the room that you're currently in. But anyway.
It's beautiful and clean.
I digress. Anyway. Moving on, mate, we've got a bit of a new segment that we're going to be trialling tonight, and it goes, I should say, a little something. Sorry, the show turned very serious. It's time for News from Tiger Town, and new little segment where we're just going to do our little news wrap from all the little stories each week as to what's been going on. We'll dive into a few, and we'll be doing it in a quick succession. Mate, this week, Jack Bird parted ways with the club. He's heading over to the English Super League.
Yep, makes my fearless prediction last week pretty shit. Well, makes my fearless prediction look pretty shit that I had 2 weeks ago. I had him, he was going to redeem himself and claw back a position. So clearly I don't know anything about football. So.
Yeah, you read that one well. Yeah, good job.
Yeah.
No, so frees up a spot, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Frees up a bit of cash, I'm assuming, as well. We don't know. We're not privy to those numbers, whether we paid a bit to for him to head on or whatnot. But is that a spot that could be useful to us? I mean, I'm sure it is at some point, but in the past we have just filled spots for the sake of them late in the season. So, where we sit at the moment, what are your thoughts there?
To be honest, I actually don't think we really a desperate need for anything. Now, it's not to say that if something like major didn't come on the table and we didn't, and we had a chance to play for it, say, I don't know, Tino decided to part ways, I wouldn't, we'd take it, but it's not like I'd sit there and go, yes, we freed that up, we can go for something that we need now, because honestly, we're kind of short up in a lot of places. So,
Yeah, I don't think though that we have salary cap to even
For
entertain
Tino.
another big. Well, just even another on a serious note, another big signing. So,
Especially if you believe everything that's coming out about Buller.
yeah, you're good at just sniping something in and then moving your head away and leaving no context behind it. Well, what's the everything? Maybe we'll discuss that one a little bit later. Moving on to the next story is Sione Fainu. Not officially announced, but it's been heavily reported that he's agreed to a smidge over $1 million 3-year deal. Good sign. Happy with that?
Yes. Well, I mean, he was probably one of the best improvers of last year. You obviously are a very big fan of his. I think, he was really not much until, well, when I say not much, he was, a fringe first grader at best 2 years ago. And then obviously his brothers came over and he started to show what he can do and got a bit of opportunity under Benji. And then, it's been rewarded because, last year, what was it? We were wondering what was happening with him because he was waiting for a new deal. We didn't know exactly what was happening with him last year. And then he signed a 2-year deal, I think, then. So now he signed an extra 3-year deal. So,
yeah, Perth Bears were sniffing around too, apparently.
yeah, but Perth Bears are sipping around everyone. So
No, well, he was specifically one of the names though that were mentioned publicly. So that was interesting, and yeah, you're right. I am a big fan of Sione, and yeah, he came over before the other two, and sort of hit the ground pretty flat, to be honest. Didn't have the best run with injuries, and was carrying a bit extra and that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's been a pretty meteoric rise, but he's been excellent, and he's the type of player that we've commented on before. Just keeps improving time on time, and yeah, it'll probably help come negotiations for the other two as well.
Absolutely, I think that's
next year.
probably why a part of the reason why he was re-signed. It's not a big reason, but it was definitely a factor, I'd say, to make sure that keep the brothers together.
It's only going to help, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, really pleasing. I like his versatility, and as you've mentioned before, I like him as a sneaky starting prospect as well. I think he could really grow into a mature, somewhat unconventional prop of his own style. Whether or not he would suit a Terrell pair long term, I'm not sure. I'd have to see how to play out. They're both unconventional, and I think it definitely could work. We have to wait and see. Anyway, moving on to the next story. You mentioned pre-pod that there was an expose out about the West Tigers' new Bash brothers. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, I think it was the Daily Telegraph put it out that Bunty Afoa and Big Royce Hunt have shedded the kegs to be a bit of a powerhouse between them. It made me reminisce about the good old days when we had the 1-2 punch from Gavayan to Powell. But yeah, the article looks like they're both just keen, ready to rip in. From all reports, obviously the boys on Westlife discussed it last night, or the night before, whenever I heard it, that from all reports, Bunty is just absolutely training the house down, impressing everyone. And we know that when it comes to that sort of thing, Benji's not shy in rewarding that. Perfect example is Trish and Hope, Charlie Murray, things like that. Charlie Murray's a fringe first grade at best. Bunty can probably be a lot better than that, but he's definitely one that I'm excited about. I think with the 6-man bench coming up, I think it makes perfect sense to have those two on there just because of the impact they can have. Both of them like to run off the back fence.
Yep.
So, yeah, when I read that, I was like, hearing that, I think Royce's down to 112 and Bunty's down to 113. I didn't know the Bunty was that big.
Around there, yeah, I was the same. I didn't know Bunty was that big, but
So I was like, wow. Like,
yeah, he also got the MVP from their army camp this year, apparently.
Oh, okay, didn't know that.
That's a sign of someone who's obviously putting in big time. So,
yeah, do you reckon they'll release the YouTube series that they did last year? Because that was awesome.
I don't know. I agree with you. I'd love to see it. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
Next story. Won't talk too much about this one, but there's a good interview between. It was through the Sydney Morning Herald with Jerome Luai. A good one-on-one, and he spoke a bit about some of the challenges of coming across and how the side's looking, and even just some insight into him as a person. So it's quite interesting to have a look and a read about, or a watch, I should say, because it's the video that comes with it. So if you get the chance to see that, and you haven't yet, I think that it was free, hosted on Fox Sports channels too.
Yeah.
So hop on there and have a bit of a watch. It's worth a watch. Did you happen to catch that one?
I did, yeah, I did. I didn't watch the video. I read the article because I was working at the time, so couldn't exactly watch the video. But yeah, I think that if anything, it kind of eases my concerns about where his head's at. And I never would question his professionalism, but with the joke of an owners group that we have, it's fair to say he's probably thought about activating things and getting out of the what the stranglehold has been. But from everything I read, and maybe I'm reading too much into it, but it looks like he's here to turn things around with Benji, and really keen to see him more in his natural role. Even he was there to admit he wanted to be Batman, but it didn't turn out that way. He put too much pressure on himself. He's over the last 8 years, he's developed into one of the best second phase players in the game. Just loves to play what he sees. In the juniors, he might have been an absolute gun halfback, but when you play week in, week out at the best level, obviously you'll develop a skill set that's different to what you had at the junior level. So, yeah, I'm pretty keen to see what he does. You'd like to think that... Is it the Panthers in our second trial? Maybe.
I'll have to go back and double check. I can't remember which is which.
But I think it's the Panthers in our second trial. Correct me if I'm wrong. I could be way off. Who?
It's not the Roosters, is it?
Oh shit! Now you got me questioning myself. I don't know. I thought it was.
We're gonna have a brief look. All right.
Am I wrong or am I right?
Not sure, mate. I'm about to have a look.
No, that's the question that we are answering.
Bear with us, folks. This might be informative of sorts. So here we go. All right. So that's round one. So we open our account, against the Roosters on the 14th.
Yep.
And then we play the Panthers. Yeah.
Panthers. Yeah. So I was right.
Friday.
So you'd like to think that trial will have a pretty strong first grade side, if not the starting 13. And then the word is, and again it's third person bloody jargon, but because there is such a gap between our last trial and our first game, they're thinking about doing a internal sort of matchup. So it's New South Wales Cup versus first grade, just to keep everyone fresh. So, but yeah, it'd be good to see how they go, how he goes on his natural number. So,
all right, very good, mate. Any other newsworthy stories to mention?
That's not that I can remember. There hasn't been a lot, and that's the thing. Like, usually when the shit's on fire, we get in the news all the time, but nothing really that's pressing. Obviously, there's just all the rumors around Buller and where he's going to end up and if he's going to stay. And all intents and purposes, he wants to stay. There's two? Apparently, there's 2 contracts out for him to sign. One's for 2 years, one for 4 years. All at about the $900 a year. So, yeah, I think
Remains to be
For
seen.
me, if I'm being honest, that's another instance of a very old Tigers sort of remit and paying overs for a player. I don't think he's worth 900,000.
You
So
wouldn't pay 9.
I wouldn't pay 9. I'd pay 750. I'd pay if he's a 4-year deal. I'd pay 9 in his fourth, not in his first two. No.
Yeah, for me, he's probably 800, 850 in terms of what he offers, even 750 in terms of what he offers at the minute. But you're paying for some upside. You're paying to lock them in long term, and you're paying for glimpses of what he's shown you as a young bloke coming through now with an even better squad. So everything around him is going to be better as well, and you're sort of paying to have that same player come through. You also got to remember salary cap's going up. Perth Bears are coming in. The Chiefs are coming in. Be cool to have an NRL team called the Chiefs. I think the idea is stupid, but to have a team called the Chiefs is cool. Yeah, so I think you pay 900 every day of the week. To be honest, like in days gone by, mate, it would have been 1.1. So
yeah, just to keep him in the Hadji Patella's days.
Yeah, so there'll be a bit to play out with that, but I think that probably wraps up the news from Tiger Town for week 1.
Yeah.
So once again, like has happened for 3 years, I feel, since Toby's weekly Pathways roundup was introduced. Every now and again, we just have an episode where the music just doesn't play, but it plays for us. And so, yeah, I know that a few of you watch the YouTube, and apologies, you got to look at us. But
you just see us moving our heads going.
We're just bopping around and nothing's doing. And for those listening, apologies as well, because you just have stone cold silence for about 10 seconds. So if that has happened again, I apologise. Davies weekly Pathways roundup will not be happening just as of yet, but with us getting into the junior seasons, it's going to be coming up pretty soon. And we will
off this week.
Yeah,
this week.
Defer to WT Faithful as always with that stuff, but we will do our attempt to jump into some of those results and talk about a few bits and pieces over the course of the next few weeks when we get the chance. However, today we were discussing for quite some time about how we want to approach the pre-season, and this has been in the works for a long time. I thought, we'll talk about the upcoming squad and we'll talk about games and trials and bits and pieces, ABC. We thought we'll do something a little bit different. We're going to do a state of the squad, and we're going to assess how we look heading into 2026. It's not overly revolutionary. We're just going to do it in our way. Now, we're going to split it into a 3-part series, and we're going to aim to do one per week. This week, we're going to do the spine, and then we're going to discuss forwards and backs separately. We're going to discuss each player. We're going to look at their 2025 stats. We're going to talk about their strengths, weaknesses, where they need to improve, and the sort of things that we expect or would like to see out of that player moving forward if we think they have a future. And we'll try to jump down the depth chart, I should say, as well, and attempt to cover our immediate squad, but those that are eligible to play, and go along that route. So, Toby, I might throw it over to you. We're going to start with the spine players today. We might just run through them for starters, and then I think Toby, for those who are on YouTube, I think Toby's going to do the old
the old
screen, so we can have a look at some statistics here. So let's go through these spine players, and then we'll look at who we got first. Buller. So we've got Adam Dewey, obviously. I'm just going through the squad list on the website myself here. We've got Heath Mason, we'll discuss briefly. We've got Buller, Luai. We've got Javon Andrews to talk about. Latu, and keep going down there. I think that's it for now. Have I missed anybody there that you can think of?
If you're talking about spine, you're missing Appy.
But Hooker's in there, obviously, with Appy and Haywood, haven't we?
And Hope.
Well, we mentioned Hope too briefly as well, I would say. Lovely. All right, mate. So we're on Jareem Buller. Do you want to run us through the stats for 2025 for Jareem the Dream?
So for Buller, obviously he had a couple of runs with injury. He played 18 games. We had a 39% win rate. He was playing a lot of that, that lull that we had after Galvin left, so that's not surprising. 8 tries for the year. He ran for, where are we? Total of over 3,000 meters, averaging 168 meters a game.
Good.
821 kick return meters. His tackle, like that, this has always been sort of my thing with him, is his urgency and sometimes his first contact. So his tackle efficiency was at 82%, but
I don't know how much credence you can put in that number alone. There's a few of those stats that tell a great story. I don't know that personally. I don't think that's a great one for fullbacks.
And then, obviously what the boys at Westlife have been talking about, because I think Steve has been basically on every training session. He was talking about how it looks as though Bull is getting a lot more second man sort of ball playing options and everything like that. So he's had 7 try assists. So, if that is the case in terms of they're playing a lot more sweep plays, a lot more Buller being a bit of a roaming half, so to speak, when it's attack, you'd like to think that stats would increase as well. So,
yep, hands on the ball a bit more too.
Yeah. So,
all right. So, what are the strengths of Jahream in your eyes? What does he do? What does he do well?
His leap. He is an absolute threat with any aerial ball. Like, how many tries has he scored by leaping through the air to take it from whoever is the man under the ball? So even if he hasn't scored it, he has at least caught it and made an effort to get to the try line or pass the ball. So that's his biggest strength, is his aerial attack.
Yep.
So what about you?
You often give him grief for his positional play, maybe somewhat his urgency. I think positionally he's relatively good. What you mentioned there is pretty on point. I just think that we've barely scratched the surface with him. To me, it always looks like he's in first gear and he's just got so much upside. Like, his strength to me is the fact that he looks like he's just got mountains of growth to have in him, and we're already getting what we're getting out of him. So it's almost across the board. I think that, and in a way you could say that his capacity to improve in a variety of areas is a strength, as in he can get way better at reading the game defensively in attack, and get way better at chiming in. He can get way better at straightening. He can get way better at his passing game. He can drastically improve his kicking game. He can learn to manage games a little bit better. He can be better around the ruck for support and stuff like that. Whereas you look at some players and they don't, maybe you doubt their capacity to improve in a number of areas. I think with Jahream, I've got, a great deal of confidence in him being able to improve all of those areas if he applies himself and is coached properly. So I think that unto itself is a strength, which I like. I think it lends him to have the capacity to be not a one-dimensional type fullback or player. Like I think of, with the greatest respect, Dylan Edwards or a Teddy or something. Teddy, early days with the Tigers, it was a big criticism, was very one-dimensional. And he showed the capacity to improve his passing game in particular and his positional play in attack. I think that's a strength, and I think that's what we see with Jahream. Weaknesses. You've been pretty critical of his, would you say, urgency at times?
He definitely, yeah, absolutely. I think there's instances where, and you said it before, like sometimes he looks like he's in first gear, and like there are definitely times where you need to save energy and what have you, but his covers sometimes to when there's breakaways or when they're close to the line, it just looks like he's sort of staring too long and then he doesn't go there. Like, we talked about Teddy before, but I don't know if you remember, there was a game when he played for us where we were playing the Dragons and they went to score a try and he literally put his whole body line, slid under and smacked the ball out of their hand when they were going to put the ball down. I don't see Buller ever doing anything like that at this point in time.
Yeah, no, I disagree. I think that we saw less of it last year at times, and I think it just looked bad at times. But I think in his opening season, he was well renowned for that. Like, you think about some of the big try-saving plays that he pulled off.
Oh, yeah, there was the one against Cleary against the Panthers and things like that. Yeah, exactly. But we're talking about last year's stats.
Yeah, no, I know, I understand, but you're talking about you haven't seen it, and I think,
Well, okay, I haven't seen it recently.
yeah. So you're just saying, yeah, it sort of fell off a bit maybe last year. We spoke about that privately as well.
Yeah, and that's it. Like,
It's
I
fair enough.
think for somebody that, this is his third full season of first grade, and that's another thing to remember. Like, he's been pretty much our first choice fullback now for 3 years. And there's certain things that you'd want to see from someone that's played upwards of 60 games of NRL. And that is a bit more maturity in terms of when to focus and when to push yourself. And last year, I barely, maybe I saw it in glimpses, but I didn't see it anywhere near enough as it should have been. And that's,
I don't see him. I don't see him as clicking off or lazy. Personally, I see the moments of lack of urgency that you're talking about, but I attribute them more to self-preservation, and I don't, which is not a great thing and doesn't sound great, but more so, if he didn't think that he can make a noticeable difference, I don't think he was committing himself as much last year, and in some ways, that's self-preservation to be more impactful later in the game. Could be someone who's carrying an injury for a significant part of the season, possibly. Whatever it was, I noticed it a bit too. And yeah, you got some fullbacks that throw themselves at everything, and you sort of need it because they are your last line of defence. And the best teams have the best defensive fullbacks. They can also be the best attacking fullbacks too, but they have gun defensive fullbacks.
yeah.
And with due respect to Latrell, like everything Latrell can do, he's a freak. He's not a good defensive fullback in my eyes. I think he had times last year he was better, but particularly when he's been times he's been unfit. And I think it's among other reasons, a significant reason why I don't think that Souths would ever, with him at fullback, threaten genuinely, because you need, over the course of a season, and particularly in big games, you need that fullback to probably save you a try in most games, I reckon.
Oh, easy.
Yeah. And he did a lot of that in season 1, and I think it dropped off season 2. But.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And that's, a perfect example is Dylan Edwards.
Yeah.
So, would you say that Dylan Edwards is the most flashiest, the most eye-catching, the most electric fullback in the game? Absolutely not.
No.
But my God, he can read a play well. My God, he can defend. He puts his body on the line every single time.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't have his best year last year, and by all accounts, even he said that. But if there is a breakaway, with Buller, I'm not always 100% confident he's going to get him. Not always, majority of the time, depending on where the position.
I used to be, but last year he had a few bad misses, and costly, like the one against Leka Halasima in the Warriors game, like that, amongst a couple of others. Yeah, not great moments, but that's okay. But
that's
it happens.
Again,
go through phases, and
for me, that's his glaring weakness. But he does, in all honesty, his strengths do overly outweigh his weaknesses.
Would you swap him for anyone
that we currently have?
No, I mean anyone around the league. And yeah, you'd probably take a Reece Walsh or someone.
Yeah, I'm like, really?
Yeah, but outside of the obvious ones, you think of all your mid-range fullbacks. Would you swap him for anyone? Because he's not in that top level, but
he's not the top level. No, I wouldn't.
Yeah, and his
strengths far outweigh his weaknesses.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, couldn't agree more. So we sort of jumped into how he can improve all in one there with his weaknesses.
Yep.
Now, anything else you want to mention about him?
No, well, it's fair to say if he's fit and firing, he's the number one fullback. He's a sure thing. So we can move on to, I guess, his backups.
The only thing I was just going to mention, a brief weakness as well, though, was just I want to see better attacking shape from him. And it's a number of things. His positioning and where he gets the ball from the half, I think could use improvement. I don't mind if it's deeper or flatter. It depends upon the structure they want to play, but it always seems to be a half step out. I think the timing of his passing, but particularly his ability to straighten. He did on one or two occasions, and he looked like a friggin' samurai through the defence. It was freakish. It's just like if you're going left, jink off the left and straighten. If you're going right, jink off the right and straighten, then do what you want to do. Because he's just so silky and smooth, and
that's it. And the way he moves, like
So I think look, it's probably more so an area of improvement,
Yeah.
more so than an actual weakness, because he still was able to be effective, even though he clunked a few of those backline swings. So yeah, that's an area that I think he could turn. I mentioned a couple of weeks ago that I think he has the capacity in 2026, if he gets his head on right and has a good season, to push into the top 5 fullbacks in the league. And I think that will be a key reason. If he can figure out how to effectively how to effectively chime into the back line that we've now got, or that edge that we've now got, whichever edge it is, and can have an effective results on the attacking structures of our football side and add a try a game or more through playmaking or scoring himself, then that's the secret. Because when he's on, man, like, he is deadly, and he does it without breaking a sweat.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. You want to mention anything more about him?
No, I think we all know where we sit with him. So then we've got his backups. So obviously this is obviously one where he'll be part of the backs as well in terms of wing and centre.
Yeah,
but
we're not going to discuss them. We'll just mention them. So you got
Tito. Obviously Tito is the first choice fullback. Second choice fullback, first choice winger. Not a bad backup to have. Would you have anyone ahead of him?
No, I think he showed last year when he deputised for him that he did a serviceable job, and Tito's the man in that position. Plus, we've got options out in the 3/4 and wing.
Yeah, exactly.
Macassini waiting there if he doesn't get the nod to start, and you've got a ready replacement there. So I think it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So we won't talk too much because we'll talk about Tito in the backs next, like next week. But obviously the next one is Heath Mason.
Yeah, so we'll probably be a brief chat too. Do you see Heath playing much of a role this year?
No. Unfortunately, I think he's shown glimpses of being a good footballer. Again, he's 21 years old. Not even yet, he's 20.
He's 20, yeah.
He's 20. He's 20 years old. And so there's still a lot of upside to him in terms of just his youth, but
he's got an entire career ahead of him.
He's got some things that he needs to work on, and I don't just to be completely selfish, I don't want him to work on those in first grade. Work on those in New South Wales Cup, build that up, because again, he's another one of those players who is guilty of being too versatile. He doesn't really have one solidified position. He's listed here as a fullback, but he's more preferred in the halves. He's played utility and coming in as hooker and things like that.
How would you play him?
I actually think he's a 5'8". I think he's a running 5'8". I think that he's very very similar to, I guess, Jai Gray in that he's a little pocket rocket. But the difference between Jai Gray and Heath Mason is Jai Gray is probably 2 years ahead of him in development. 2 or 3 years. So
people make the comparisons. I think the headgear helps with the comparison. I think
the way he runs, the way he attacks the line, like his support play as well.
Yeah, maybe. I think he's a really good footballer, eh? I really rate him as a footballer. I just think that he just burst on the scene, but he was called upon too young, like most of that crew.
Yeah.
Talon was called on too young. Lockie was called on too young. Kit was called on too young. Luke was called on too young. Heath is the same. They're just not quite ready yet. He's got a cracker skill set. Physically, he's all there. He's a little dynamo. He
doesn't shy away from the physical stuff either.
Not at all. He's a little weapon. Like, I'd love to have him in the club for the next 10 years because as he matures into his career, I'm sure he'll find a niche. I love versatile players, but you're right. It makes it hard to specialise. Jack of all trades, master of none. But
not everyone can be a Craig Wing.
But the rest of that, I forget the rest of that phrase, but effectively, or that cliche, but effectively complements the jack of all trades, which is a good thing. He can fill a number of spots, and in some ways, actually not in some ways, I'd go so far as to say if Latu Fainu wasn't at the club, he's your 14 almost every single week.
Yeah.
because he's the next best, next ready, young, keen, super versatile, can play almost any position in the back line type, plus hooker type player in the club. And he is quality. I just think some of his he's just unpolished. He's green.
He is, and that's it. That's what I'm saying. Like, he's got quite a few areas he needs to improve on, but he has all the talent there. He's just got to. I don't want the test subject to be in first grade. I want it to be New South Wales Cup. Develop him correctly. By the way, just on a side note, how good does he look in that jersey? Jesus,
Good looking bloke. I'll be honest. Good looking fella.
I'm just more about the jersey more than anything. But okay.
I will say as well that he's half my age.
He is, because
Like,
you're an
fuck
old
it,
bloke.
actually.
And half your height.
Yeah, well, basically.
Yeah.
I was just interested. So, briefly, what position Connor Watson plays predominantly these days?
Utility.
Yeah, and when he comes on, he plays predominantly, and he's being used as a lock, yeah?
Yeah.
He is 1 centimetre and 1 kilo heavier and 1 centimetre bigger than Heath Mason. So for all this talk about Heath Mason being really little, 176 I think is 5'8", 5'9". He's 88 odd kilo.
Well, I'm 5'6" and 3/4, and I'm 172.
If you could put 5 kilos on him and play him at 93 kilos, why couldn't you make him into a lock? Loves the physicality. He's quick around the ruck. He's got all the ball skills in the world. Fast feet. He's a good front-on defender. He gets found out wide, but he's a pretty good front-on defender when he played in the halves because he's physical.
Well, yeah, you get him up to 95 kgs. That's what I try to play him at, 95.
You're gonna slow him down a bit, but it doesn't matter.
You don't need him to be quick when he's playing lock. Well, not as quick as he always is.
It's an option. He is built like a brick shithouse though already, so I don't know where we'd put that weight, but
yeah, he's stocky as shit, isn't he?
Anyway,
I think that's it for the fullbacks. Yeah, so we're moving on to the 5'8" now. So obviously, our captain, Romy Rome.
Yeah, let's jump into Rome.
He, by even his own accounts, his first year with the Tigers wasn't his best. But for me, that's just on the field. I think off the field, he's added so much more value than I'd ever hoped for. I think him, and this is one thing too, like I'll talk about Tito next week, but him and Tito have become the hype guys. They've become the ones that bring everyone together. And, everyone's saying that, this group just looks so close. And everyone says it's because of those two. And that for me, yes, I wish he had done more on the field. And, partially is probably because he was playing out of position. He probably should have just played half at 5'8", his natural position now. But everything he did off the field was just, sublime to me. Anyway.
What about his on-the-field stats? What do you got for us?
So his on-the-field stats, he played 21 games for us with a 38% win rate. So we won 8, lost 13. Again, he was a big part of that lull that we had. Same with Buller. He only had 1 try, and that was against the Cowboys then, which was actually quite surprising. I thought he had more than that. He was very much I think he was our main kicker majority of the time. 12 try assists, which is actually pretty good. His deft kicks were the things that were a standout for me last year, close to the line, whether it was right or left foot, because he's generally a left footer, but dropping on the right foot and it was just perfectly. Like I remember, I think we were coming back against, it was either the Cowboys or who did we come back the week after with that? Because it was two weeks in a row where we almost ran the team down. Was it Panthers? Maybe. I don't know. But he put a deft kick in and Seyfarth just came through and cleared it up. And it was just, beautiful to watch. 37 offloads. He had a tackle efficiency of 82%. For someone out on the flanks, that's not surprising. 57 missed tackles. Total run meters, obviously 86 run meters a game. Not bad, but I'd probably, given the fact that he's switching to 5'8" this year, you'd expect that to increase pretty substantially.
Yeah, fair call. He is
in general, didn't he?
He does, when he dances, he often dances laterally too, though, and he does dish the ball on a fair bit. So, yeah, you maybe you're right. He played a bit of it last year too, though. You're right. Yeah, like from a statistical point of view, and that was the criticism by some over the course of last year, he didn't stand out, and you can't shy away from that. You know, we've all discussed and heard and read all the context around it with the Galvin stuff and the side getting settled and him playing a new position and all those sort of bits and pieces. As you alluded to, he brought heaps off the field, but it's not really what we're talking about today. You know what, man? I think that we've seen the birth of an absolute bona fide star, eh? Like,
so he wasn't a star before that?
No. And I'll explain what I mean. I mean an absolute superstar. And I don't think that the results on the field don't reflect that in the side he's playing with. But there's a lot of context around that. I think the challenge he undertook, the way he went about it, the way he's presented himself the entire time, he may or may not be successful, but I don't use this word very often. He carries this aura about him. And he's sort of come into that. Like, I know that early days there was a lot of criticism around him and he copped flack when he was at Penrith and they was young and arrogant and all this sort of stuff. I genuinely think that he's like matured into this bona fide star that is so valuable for our club and everyone inside of that club, particularly the playing group. He won 4 premierships at Penrith, and he was obviously a star player of the game, but I think he's just grown into that upper echelon. He's a character. He's, he's got gravitas to him, whatnot. Like, he doesn't... I'm trying to think. When people think of the NFL, they think of your big stars over the years, right? Mm. And those big stars didn't always win shitloads of Super Bowl rings.
Tom Brady did.
I was just about to say, Tom Brady did. Good luck to him.
Hey, we're in the Super Bowl again. That's all I care about. Sorry, change of subject.
Yeah, and a lot of the others did and didn't win a lot of rings, whether or not they were there or thereabouts. The performances may or may not come, but all of them carried themselves with that gravitas about them, and it commands respect within a club. You compare it to Cameron Smith as a champion player. Like, he backed it up with everything. Played everything that Cameron Smith did, achieved everything Cameron Smith did, won, a handful of premierships, fair enough. With that side, the side was successful as well, but he just, having that big, strong captain within that club, I think is so valuable. And I think that's what we've gotten with him. He's exceeded my expectations in that regard. I think that the flow-on effect that's going to have into the leadership structures of the side and the team themselves, is massive. So he can take anything that is thrown at him. But strengths, weaknesses. What do you like strictly from a playing standpoint? What do you think his strengths are? You sort of mentioned some of his attacking options at the line. So kicks in behind for their edge, not short, long.
I think he is, for me, probably more so this year than last year, but his unpredictability is definitely something that, and when you have him on the same side as, say, a Taylor May who understands him so well, and a Tito who understands him so well, while it's unpredictable to the defense, it's not exactly unpredictable to the attack. That is probably one of his biggest strengths. Like you talked about it before, he likes to skip across field, and he likes to sort of draw in those defenders that way rather than, taking the line, bending the line, or drawing the defenders in by straightening up. And what that does when he skips across the line is, yes, it draws in the defenders, but it also puts the outside men in questioning. When you have like for instance, an example is, you were talking before about Buller straightening up, and when you straighten up like that, you force the inside man generally to turn his shoulder, but two men out aren't exactly concerned with what's happening there. They're concerned with their man in. But when he skips across field, because he can continuously get on the outside of so many men, it takes the two men out, like your winger, your center, to sort of second guess what's going to happen. And that's when you see those deft kicks. That's when you see, a perfect example was that try to Seyfarth, skipped across, put it on the left foot, Seyfarth scored. You had a look at the defense. They actually sat there and they just sort of second guessed what they had to do. Because do they stay? Do they hold? Do they come back? What do they do? And that, for me...
He also, when he's moving laterally, like he's got that really jinky sort of gait about him, and his cadence is real funky, and so it can be hard to predict the movements or the pace of the movements. I don't think he's not out and out quick, but he gets around it by moving in an unconventional sort of pace and that sort of jolty pace. Like Cameron Munster's the same. He's deceptive because his movements are they're sort of jerky and odd and unconventional. Yeah, so I think that adds to it as well. We spoke about Jerome in the back end of last year, the stuff you're talking about just briefly to double down on it, about the fact that when he goes to the line with weapons now that we've assembled around him, Toa being fit.
Apparently he's not, by the way.
Yeah, I know. I heard his shoulders a bit so-so, which is not good news because, half-fit stuff at Toa, I'm not interested. He needs to be fit and firing or he's too apprehensive. Anyway, when he's going to the line, he's got those options, and you're talking about going short, going long, kicking behind, long kick if they're further out, or running yourself. He genuinely becomes that multi-option threat, creates doubt in the mind of the players that you're talking about, and either wingers are up, they're jamming, they're dropping back, they're unsure, and you're not going to always get it right. That's rugby league. You're trying to throw essentially plays at teams, but the more doubt you create, the more chances you create, the more points you score. And I like that, and I think having what side's he playing on? Because he was playing.
I think he's playing on May's side, so I think he's playing on the left.
Well, I thought he was playing on the left too, but yeah, okay. Well, he should be because he's kicking on the left. I heard something that they were switching sides or something, and Dewey's playing left. But anyway, because Sam Weller was playing left as well, obviously. So he's got those options: short, long, or in behind. Weaknesses. What do you see his weaknesses with his play?
Again, it's probably more dependent on his position last year. I think his position last year, his weakness was he stopped playing to his strengths. He was trying to be more of the general rather than the pocket rocket that he could be in terms of the, again, unconventional, unpredictable. So,
do you think a lot of that was down to necessity? He had to accommodate Galvin for starters and sort of try to play that role. And then secondly, he was gone.
Yeah, probably.
He had to try to sort of steer the ship a little bit. And I think he was pretty compromised last year. I think we didn't really get to see much of Luai properly until sort of Dewey came on and started playing that role for him, I guess.
Yeah, and that's again, it reiterates what I meant in terms of trying to be the general, because that's just not... Sorry, my daughter just drops in. They should be in bed. I don't know why they're awake.
So should I.
Yeah, I know. But, I think that he was, like you said, he was a victim of circumstances. So that was his weakness last year. This year, maybe his weakness is, because I wouldn't say his glaring weakness is his defense.
Forget weaknesses. What do you want to see him improve? Give me one thing he should improve.
Oh, what I want to see him improve, take the line on more. Absolutely. Take the line on more.
I think we'll see that with him being 5'8" officially now. And
because he doesn't have any glaring weaknesses. Yeah. 5 years ago, you could say probably glaring weakness in was being too overconfident. That's 5 years ago before he won 4 straight premierships, because he didn't have all the arsenal to back up what he did, what he talked. That's not really a glaring weakness of him anymore, because we know what he can do. It's not exactly cockiness or overconfidence. It is just confidence in his ability because he's been there. So, Yeah, I don't think he has any glaring weaknesses.
No, he's a relatively complete player, but he does need to lift in his execution in a lot of stuff. I want to see better, and it's him as the senior member of that side, but I want that edge to be connected. That's all I want. Like, I want to see that continue to develop and grow, and if it happens to be Luai, Samweller, and Talon on that side, that's mouth watering. But it's
Yeah.
I want to see it improve more, and that comes down to Luai. He's just got to teach him and put him where he wants him, and then he's got to make sure they drill it, which I know that they would be. But for the entirety of last year, it was that edge rarely, for reasons that are understandable, rarely looked tight, and I need it to be better. And I put that down to him. So
Yeah, that's fair.
that's what I want to see improved. All right, mate, let's jump to the next one. We are getting a bit on in the tooth.
Yeah. So obviously another backup is Javon Andrews.
Young fella come down from Queensland. Big raps on him.
To make his debut, so can't really give you any stats about him, but a lot of raps about him.
Big,
obviously,
tall, lanky boy, built like me.
Yeah, 190 centimeters, 98 kg. That's
No
a
way,
big
he's
boy.
98 kilograms.
Oh, it's just stop being jealous, would you?
I know, 98 kilograms. It's not it.
Yeah, so do I. It's about 20 kilos lighter than I am. And yeah, I think that from all reports, he's just got so much raw talent.
Yeah.
If it wouldn't surprise me to see him get a start during the Origin period, mate. Not a start, but at least a role during the Origin period if Romy gets picked. Again, very dependent on Latu, Dewey, everyone else.
But yeah, we're gonna have to see how he goes in Cup. I think. He's flag eligible. Obviously, I don't think he's ball eligible anymore. He's 19 now. He turned 19. I don't know. I'd have to double check. I don't know the specifics of that. So if anybody does that's listening, I'm sure there is. I don't know how they cut that off when the season and your birthday and everything else as well. But he'll play a bunch of Cup, obviously, this year and continue to develop. And, looks a good 5/8 prospect. So
it does.
If we're calling on him out of necessity this year, we're in big trouble. So let's hope that we don't have to.
True.
Moving on.
So I think that's kind of it for our depth in the 5/8. But then again, we got Latu and all that, but I've put him in the halfbacks.
Yep.
I couldn't see anyone from the New South Wales Cup because I haven't updated that either, and I couldn't think off the top of my head. But obviously, when it comes to halfbacks, there is one that I can think of that isn't on the site yet. So, but for the halfback, obviously he's listed as a centre here, but we know that he's playing half. He is big AD. Very much the exact same size as Javon Andrews. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
So, there's...
It's only 27 AD, man.
Yeah, that's crazy, isn't it?
Forever.
To think about, obviously you've got these 2 years quite lean with him because, 3 years because of injury, 2022 to 2024. But
he played 21 games last year.
Yeah.
Pretty good. I didn't know he played that many.
Yeah. I think it was his most complete year by far. I think
most games he's played in his whole career.
Yeah, true. Yeah, wow.
In a season, I should say.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's jump through to his stats quickly.
Yep. So 6 tries. Obviously, he was our primary kicker, so he had 55 goals. Didn't tell you what that percentage is at the moment. Oh, there you go, 74%. Not bad. Could be better. 8 try assists, so he's on par with Jareem there. 10 line breaks. He had a tackle efficiency of 87%. Fair bit of that was out in the centres too. I remember vividly saying it was like he just had glue on his hands, and which is, a huge improvement from the year prior because he was, for me, such a liability in defence. Averaged 106 running metres, but he also, that's another stat that's probably inflated a little bit because he did have quite a few of those breakaways. Remember the 2 tries that he scored and supported in for the Bulldogs game? You remember that?
You pull these random fucking moments from these random ass games, and I've never got any idea
Adam
what you're
Dewey
talking about.
You don't
Look at
remember
this
Adam Dewey
photographic
getting
house
into dummy
football,
half,
mate. I
stepping
can't even
around a
remember what I
Bulldogs
had
player,
for
and then
lunch
running.
this afternoon. You want me to remember a game from fucking 9.5 months ago in minute 62?
God, call yourself a fucking Tigers fan. Jesus.
What, because I don't have the best of memories?
Yeah, well, too much CTE for you.
Well, some of us played hard football, mate.
You played in the centres. You don't know what hard football was.
Oh, beg your pardon. Anyway, that conversation will continue after the podcast. You couldn't even say that with a straight face. Where are we up to?
So strengths of AD.
Yeah, what do you? I'm going to kick this off.
Yeah, go for it.
He's just physical, mate. When he brings his physicality, he is a dominating type player, both sides of the football. And we saw it last year. You know, he is that triple threat that we spoke about, run, pass, kick, because when he runs, he's slippery, he's elusive, he's strong. But I think we saw in a big way at the back end of the year, and it was cut short again, how that system can work and where he can be best used in this side. This does not mean it's his best position, but it's where he can be best used in this side, provided he does the role well, and that's playing halfback, steering ship around. Big kick on him. Solid defender, particularly another man in. He's that bit closer again, or a couple of men in, I should say. And he is, look, something else too. Not that you move your halfback out of position, but he is versatile. If something happens, he can play a number of positions if you need as well. So, yeah, what about you? That was a couple of them. What do you see as a big one?
I think for me, just he's dominant is my thing. For me, and I've said this ever since the Brooks days. You know, when we started this one and I was quite critical of Luke Brooks, he was just too quiet. Didn't demand the ball enough. Didn't direct the team around enough. For me, that's what Dewey is. Now, we've seen he's played games at halves in seasons prior, but when he played at halfback last year, he just looked more comfortable. And potentially it was because he had Luai as his halves partner, so he felt more like confident in what he could deliver in terms of his halves partner, where in the past it's been Will Smith, it's been Brandon Wakeham, it's been Luke Brooks. So I just that
wasn't that long ago, by the way. Just so you know.
I know. Still saying it. But for me, like I mentioned about Luai being one of his weaknesses, for me, Dewey, it's one of his strengths is he likes to be the general.
Yep.
And he's loud. And he loves the club.
He's a good communicator, and he won't leave any stone unturned in that regard, which is good.
No.
I just think he's a really good foil for Jerome. If Jerome's going back to playing his Penrith style that we are talking about before, which is more free-flowing, more eyes-up footy, then provided AD, who is a good role player, I believe, and I should have mentioned that as a strength as well, he plays a role particularly well. And if he's just guiding us around the field, and we're playing positions, we're playing corners, and that's going to let his halves partner shine too. So, very good. Yeah. All right. Forget weaknesses. We should have rephrased this from the get-go. Let's just call it things to improve. Where does he need to improve? Have you got one big thing for him still for AD that he needs to improve? Or that you'd like to see?
I would have said defence if it hadn't been the season he had last year. So for me, the things that I'd want to see him improve based on the fact that he's going to be the starting halfback is more of a calm, cool, collected sort of mentality. You don't need to score off every try, every play. You don't need to this. You need to, let's shout out the sponsor. You need to pepper them. You need to make sure that, you set things up for 3, 4, 5, 6 sets after. So that's what I'd want to see. Some cool, calm, collected playmaking.
I just want him to stay injury-free. Just do what he did.
I didn't want to say that. because then we're jinxing him.
I'm touching a wooden table. I'm sweet. That's what I want to see. What he brought in that short period of time at the back end of last year is exactly what this football side needs. And that's what I want to see. A continued improvement in game management would be good, but he showed he was quite a decent option in that regard there. So it's going to be good. I think it's going to work well. He and Jerome and more time together is going to only improve. And, again, it allows Latu to grow into whatever Latu is going to be for us, which is definitely going to be something, whether it's
he's too good. He's too good to be playing the Cup. Way too good to be playing Cup.
God, even beyond that, he's too good to just be playing anywhere but the NRL side. It's just, where do we put him for the time being? But, okay. Who you got next, mate? We're probably getting to the last couple, I would say.
I think we are. So obviously Latu is another halfback. For all reports, he's actually right for round 2, our first game. But he'll most likely be the 14. He can. I think where everyone in terms of understanding this football side are all in agreement that we need to reduce the amount of time that Appy is on the field to preserve Appy. I think we're all in agreement to that.
Mm-hmm.
So he does provide the perfect foil for that. Again, he's only 20 years old. He's got so much development in him. In the short glimpses that we've seen of him, you had huge raps on him before he even came to our club, and that hasn't wavered. So
huge raps is like the understatement of the year. I was in love with it.
You were so stoked with
prospect. Still am.
Yeah.
You wait, we see him injury free, man. He is.
He's got to learn to get that grass cut and tackle out of him, but
no, it's effective.
It's also illegal.
It's actually not like, where is that in the rule book?
Grass cutting. If you are tackling somebody at a dangerous position of their legs, it's exactly like a cannonball.
It's not.
If you're going for somebody's ankle, that would be deemed as a dangerous tackle.
Why? But people tackle around the ankles all the time. You were taught tackle around.
But if you don't tackle shoulder to the ankle bone, you will break an ankle.
But how do you stipulate that?
By looking at the tackle and don't allowing grass cutters. There's a very clear difference between a good.
You're
tackle
saying
and
someone can make a tackle and it can't be below a certain point.
No, I'm saying the technique of a grass cutter can't be let in.
I know
you do know what a grass cutter looks like, don't you?
Are you joking?
Yeah, you used to do them all the time, you dirty little prick.
No, I didn't. I used to go and charge people when they weren't looking. No, there was someone I remember in the last time we played together and that used to do some hectic ones. They look bad, and I'm not necessarily even arguing for them. I'm arguing with the illogical interpretation of it. People gasp at them because they look dramatic, but realistically, it is a bloke going in for a tackle slightly lower than people normally go in for tackles. It's still someone leading with the shoulder at the legs at a moving player who is not being held. So basically we're saying that you're only allowed to tackle essentially between the knee and the shoulder.
Context needs to be shown there. If you show a very clear difference between what's deemed a good tackle and a grass cutter.
But do you argue with what I'm saying? Is that not what's happening?
If you're going by the letter of the law, of course that's what I'm saying, but that's where context comes into it.
So that's what I'm saying. Is it in the rule book? Does it specifically say that you can tackle around the legs, but not that part of the legs?
No, it doesn't say that, but it does say that it's of the referee's discretion too.
Does it say that?
Yeah.
I think the way that they interpret those is they say if like discretion, if they deem it to be putting the player in a dangerous position.
And you're saying that if somebody aims for an ankle with their shoulder, it's not a dangerous position?
I don't know that you can really aim for the ankle because the ankle, specifically the malleolus, is like an inch from the ground.
That's how low he goes.
No, they sort of aim for like the shin.
Oh, so breaking the shin's different.
Well, you have a look at how the knee joint works. If you push the shin backwards, what happens? The leg bends up and off the ground. Players aren't standing dead still and being dove at their shins while their feet are planted on the ground, are they? How many injuries have you seen from grass cutting someone?
Because you sound like you're advocating for them to be brought in. I'm advocating them to be
cut out. No, I'm not.
I'm
saying it's a bad rule, and they better damn well define it properly if they're going to outlaw it. That's the issue I have. I'm not saying it doesn't look dramatic. I'm not saying it's not prone to injury. I'm saying people are slightly overreacting because it's a dramatic looking tackle, and then I don't think the risk of injury is as high as it is making out. I'm not saying I like them, but I'm saying I don't believe the rule book currently allows for him to be penalised for it. I don't think he should be penalised for it because it's a bloke making a tackle around the legs at a moving, unencumbered player. Oh, it looked bad. That's not his fault.
It is his fault.
How
are you supposed to protect your ankles?
It couldn't look good.
How are you supposed to protect
We
your
discussed
ankles?
this.
How can you brace for that?
They don't tackle the ankles. We discussed this. It's higher than that.
How do you protect your shins?
Wear shin guards.
Well, yeah, okay.
Let low and bump the player. Anyway, I hear what you're saying, and I'm not advocating for it. I'm saying that
Definitely
if you want
sound like
to you want to introduce a rule, let's do it in a way that actually looks at the risk of injury. I haven't seen too many injuries from grass cutters. I know they exist, but there also exists legitimate injuries from good tackles too. People have had ruptured internal organs from good hits. It doesn't mean the hit should be outlawed. So that's what I'm saying. It's not like a Canada ball at all, because a Canada ball has a direct certain injury risk based upon the contact at the knee joint. This doesn't.
See, I completely disagree with you, but you know anatomy better than I do. So
anyway,
I'd say there is
tell us in the comments what you think.
There is absolutely
It's not a hill I'll die on. It's not a hill I'll die on. You know that meme where they're like, tell us an opinion that gets you like this, and it's just like a person standing with like all the guns or pitchforks pointed at them. That might be one of my rugby league opinions.
At the end of the day,
grass cutters look more dramatic than they actually are.
Every opinion that you have, you'll die on. Who are you kidding?
No, I'm not. But I'm not going to let you just walk over me because I'm too scared to fucking argue about it.
You wouldn't let anyone walk over you anyway. So yes, obviously Latu is the first backup and not the and also the 14. We literally talked about that for 5 minutes, so we need to run through the last bit because we are really long in the tooth now.
That's all right. That was just our safety discussion.
Yeah, that was our HNS.
That's right. People won't mind. We could you can always break it. You can always break the podcast up into two parts, and you could have an intermission. Can you stop talking while you're looking away from the microphone? Now you got me annoyed.
Yeah, well, you've already got me annoyed, so shut up, grass cutter boy.
Can you talk in the microphone, please?
So, his stats for the year: played 14, only won 4 of those games, 3 tries. With what he did actually do a fair bit of the kicking, which is good. 3 try assists. A lot of that came off 14 as well, so 3 try assists from that's pretty good. Not a bad tackle efficiency, even if they were grass cutters. Look, a lot to improve on for him this year for me, but it's not like he played bad. It's limited opportunity and injuries.
A lot to improve on. So, like the tackle aside, what has he got to improve on?
I think for me, he needs, maybe not improve on, and maybe not a lot either. But for me, he's again stuck between, is he a general or is he a support? He doesn't, we don't know that yet. And again, he's 20 years old. He'll find that out the next 2 to 3 years. Maybe that's what we need to find out. Is he going to get that as a 14 either? That's one of the things that I'm finding risky with him using him as 14 as well. Will he get the opportunity to develop into the style of player that he needs to be by playing such limited minutes?
But I've always found that, and that's an interesting topic, and it may become a tangent, it may not, but I've always found that interesting when people talk about that. What benefit does a young player have with sitting on the bench and playing small minutes here and there? They don't get game time, match fitness, fair enough. They don't get a shitload of minutes in the belt adolescent league. They go back and they do some cup, fair enough. I reckon that if they're trying to make, and I'm not saying this is what they're doing, I believe that they're trying to make him into a lock, actually. But if I believe that Latu if the West Tigers believe that Latu was going to be a half or a 5'8", maybe a halfback, say, to pair with Jerome, and they wanted to develop him as a halfback, he would train as a halfback. He would do a little bit of other bits and pieces if he's playing for 14, but he would train as a halfback. He'd train with the side as a halfback. If he played New South Wales Cups, it would be at halfback. When he comes on, they would try to see if they could get some reps in the halves, whether it's halfback or not. I believe that he is better served playing smaller minutes and doing all the development behind the game day itself. Because remember, this is what people sort of forget, and I know they know it, but they forget in this discussion, is that most of the developing happens not during the 80 minutes. Most of the development happens outside of that. So if they see him as a long-term halfback, they're going to be doing a lot of halfback education around him. And again, I'm not saying he will be, but they will. I believe that he is better served playing NRL minutes, even in a shorter capacity. In fact, playing a number of positions, because it gives him an opportunity to understand the game a bit more, particularly at that level, the demands of certain positions, so he can understand people better, particularly as a half and as a general in the centre. then he would be not playing 14, as people who like to talk about development, quote unquote, and simply just playing cup most of the year at halfback. He would get more halfback reps in the tank in a game setting, but I don't know whether that would outweigh the time and experience he would have in shorter bursts playing at 14, given the amount of development they would be having anyway during the regular training week. Does that make sense? You don't have to agree. Does that make sense?
No, it does, and I understand what you're saying. But the one thing that you're kind of missing the point, not missing the point, but you're kind of missing there is, yes, he might train these reps and all this stuff in training, but training isn't a game. Training it's about consistently getting out there and learning how to do it. Agree. But you don't have 108 kilo men coming after you all the time in an extremely aggressive way. Yes, you have contact. That's fair. But the guys on your team aren't going out to hurt you. They're not going out to rattle you, to shake you. They might have, let's do that. But it's a completely different scenario playing another team. And so for me, yes, I understand exactly what you're saying. And part of me actually agrees with you as well. But the other part of me is like, there is complete difference to doing a training run and then game day. Like the difference is night and day. So,
I don't doubt, and I don't argue with you. I don't argue that it's not a perfect scenario either way, and that reps in the tank in reserve grade doesn't have a heap of benefits too. I'm not mentioning them because I'm trying to make the case for the other. But I just think it's not as cut and dry as people present in those situations. It's not like I don't understand the benefits of that, and I know that's not what you were saying, so I agree with you. Anyway, I wouldn't be overly concerned about his development either way, is in not just locking down a position, because the big thing about it is that this is only a point in time, and this may be where he fits for this year. And I think when you're looking at long-term projects, it changes on a year-by-year or even within the season proposition. He's best suited right now to playing 14, as far as I'm concerned, than trying to pigeonhole him into a position where he has sort of grown himself into a player that can play multiple roles. I don't want him at hooker, but he'd come through as a 5'8". Halfback suits the club where the club seems to be heading. So can he become a halfback? Not unsure. A lot of people like him at lock, myself included. Can he become a gun lock? I believe he can. Is that best for him long term? Is it best for the club long term? Because he's so young, all these things need to be figured out. And I think that's best done from 14.
Yeah, cool. So we'll move on to hooker, obviously.
I was about to say, you jumped me to it. We might, because we are going to hour 12 there now. We might wrap up the show. We might leave the hookers, with your permission, Toby, till the forwards.
Yep.
Just as a bit of a test run, the way we split these up tonight. Obviously, you got Coruscant and Hayward and Hope that you were going to mention there.
Yep.
Just want to make sure we've covered everyone within our squad, haven't we, that we wanted to talk about in regards to spine positions or likely spine players?
Yep, I think so. Oh, obviously the other one that is the backup halfback is Jock Madden.
Yeah, we didn't mention Madden. Yep.
Yeah, so Jock Madden obviously will most likely get I dare say he'll get the number 7 for the first trial. That is probably a given. It might be him and Andrews, who knows? Or maybe him and Mason. But he's definitely not he's not a bad backup to have nowadays. He's gone away. He's matured. He's played. He didn't do horrible for us. He wasn't quite what we needed at the time. But he's gone away. He's played under arguably one of the best halfbacks in the last 20 years. Probably two of them in terms of Ben Hunt and Adam Reynolds. And so, it'd be interesting to see what he brings with him from a backup perspective. But that's not a bad backup to have.
It's a good signing, and we spoke about it a couple of weeks ago. You probably play him with a six-man bench. You probably play him as part of that, in addition to Latu, I believe, as a specialist.
Well, yeah, I dare say he'll probably be. I reckon he'll be on the 6.
Yeah,
so
it's worth a discussion. I mean, there's an argument to be made, I guess, that you could leave him out because Latu can quite comfortably cover halves, particularly at a pinch. Or if Latu's doing something else, and you could play Jock because Jock can play hooker also. That's an option. You could definitely get away with one of them. I'm just saying that it may be possible or plausible to play both. Yeah, I agree with everything you said about Jock. I think it's a good reacquisition. I think he provides a really solid halfback option with NRL experience. He's familiar with the club. He gets on great with the coaching staff. He's got a very solid, decent skill set. He specifically is a halfback understudy behind Dewey. And I think that he will be very role specific. So it's good because if we lose Dewey at some point, touch wood, we can just slide Jock in and hopefully not a lot, at least in terms of the game management side of things, can change. And that's not something we've had at all in
not for ages.
In hardly any positions, much less halfback. So that's something that is pleasing.
Yeah.
That's genuine depth, mate. Like when you got a system where you can slide in a replacement that you drop in a few percentage points, but the system doesn't really lose much. That's what Penrith has done so well, and other successful teams. You slide that new player in and it works. And I see Jock doing that for AD. He is not AD. Different strengths and weaknesses, and AD's, with greatest respect, probably far more solid first grader at the moment and far more dangerous for us, etc. But it's good to have Jock there.
Yeah.
Mate, anything else you wanted to mention about that, or is that us wrapping up?
I think that's really wrapping up. We
first
definitely yarned a bit more than we expected to.
That's right. It's all part of it, mate. It's all part of it.
As soon as we start talking, we don't seem to shut up.
We did jump into a little side tangent there for a moment or two, though. But again, last show we spoke about the air, the smell in the air. You smell it, can start to get a bit close. Well, I tell you, there's football this weekend, folks, and it's close when there's football this weekend. Now, might not be playing, but I'm really excited to watch some rugby league football.
Absolutely.
Friend, what about you? Because it's been a long time.
Well, I'm kind of looking forward to the Bulldogs game because if anyone remembers, we've got a Tigers junior playing for the Bulldogs in the first trial in Alex Conti. So good to see how that young guy goes, I guess, for the Doggies. So
take care. Wrong colours. But I'll be watching it as well. But it was a good point that you make. Mate, that's about it. Anything else you want to mention?
No.
Okay.
No.
So we will jump in, folks, and do the last two instalments of that little series that we're doing, the state of the squad, over the next couple of weeks, hopefully. We don't have to push it out too far, but we should be able to do it over the next couple of weeks, forwards and backs. So if you enjoyed it, awesome. Tune in for those. If you got any comments, I'm sure you did. We spoke about a fair few things. We sort of went out on a few limbs, I think, this time around, and that's what we're going to try to do a little with the show this year. We had a few discussions over the off-season, and just not as if we're not ourselves, but maybe just loosen the old straitjacket a little bit and just speak from the heart, make a few more bolder type of and bits and pieces.
What? We're pretty loose as it is, but okay.
Yeah, it's going to be good. So if you enjoyed it, great. And I think that that being said, we will have the one show leading into the first trial, which will probably be next week's show. Is that correct?
It will be, yep. We'll have to wait for the first team list of the year to come out.
To do a team list Tuesday. That's exciting. This is the
exciting.
last show, the last week before we got to do our first team list of the season. So I know, I'm excited. Thanks, as always, to our sponsor, Best on Ground Digital, bestongrounddigital.com. They will not steer you wrong. bestongrounddigital.com. They will look after the little guy, all things digital marketing related. Get on to them. A rising tide raises all ships, as a wise man once said in the mirror to me. Get on and support all West Tigers media. The West Tigers podcast, West Tigers Faithful podcast, the Claws Out podcast, the West Life podcast, Tiger Town podcast, all the podcasts. Get on the podcasts.
There's a special mention too on the Claws Out podcast. They did a interview with Sean Mellencamp tonight. So go over and check that one out.
Yeah, haven't listened to that yet. I'm excited.
No, neither. I'm going to listen to that tomorrow while I'm working.
I'm going tonight, mate. I'm going to fall asleep.
No,
it'd be good. Very good. Well, mate, that's a good little show there for the start of February. There I go, trying to stumble over that word again. We'll skip that R. We're on the countdown. We are 5 weeks away. There or thereabouts from our opening.
Yeah,
5 weeks on the weekend.
We'll be there in person.
We will be there in person, but weird that you just did that. But anyway, So I'm looking forward to that, and I'm sure you are too. Nothing more to say. We've waffled on long enough, nearly got an hour and 20, but didn't quite get there. Go the mighty West Tigers.
Up the West Tigers.